Hi! Probably the most famous parable is the one of the prodigal son. But what is this parable about? Let's look at this parable from a Middle Eastern view. You will be amazed at what you'll see. Stick around till the end for the amazing conclusion of this parable. So Luke chapter 15 contains 3 parables. They actually are all one parable. They have the same message, though they are complementary. It's important to read the first 3 verses of Luke chapter 15 to understand this. Jesus was eating with sinners and tax collectors. The Pharisees, who were very concerned with being holy and being separated, saw this. As a matter of fact, the word Pharisee means separated ones. They didn't think it was right for Jesus to eat with the sinners and unclean people. Jesus, as a Jewish rabbi, eating with sinners is very offensive to them. Remember, in the Hebrew culture, eating together signifies having a close relationship with people. Then Jesus tells 3 very similar parables to them. The first one is of the good shepherd who lost his sheep, searches for it, finds it, and has a big celebration at the end. You want to watch this video about that. The second one is a woman who lost a day's worth of wages. She searches for it in a dark house. She finds it and then has a big, huge celebration at the end. You want to watch this video about that. Now comes the one of the prodigal son. I will personally call it the merciful father. A father has 2 sons. The youngest one approaches his father and asks for his part of the inheritance so that he can go out on his own and start his own life. You don't do that in the Middle Eastern culture. You don't even separate yourself from your community in most of South America. I know professionals like doctors, dentists, engineers, etc. here in South America who are not married and they still live with their parents. You don't leave your community. That's a very stupid, offensive thing to do here. This was probably the biggest sin that the prodigal son committed, leaving his community. So he goes to a land far away. This is probably talking about Decapolis, a country right east of the Jordan River and the Lake of Galilee. But it was far culturally. Many pagans lived there because of the Greek pagan culture was very strong there. That culture is basically a combination of humanism, sexual immorality, and self-centeredness. They have beautiful large buildings for entertainment. Does that sound familiar to places you know? Yeah, I know. Maybe you've visited places like that. I remember when I was 18 years old that I left Holland to go by myself to the United States of America. I remember the shock I felt. Everything was so different. Of course, I did go with the blessing of my parents, and at the time I was able to stay in touch with my parents through letters and an occasional very expensive phone call. $2 a minute, when $2 was a lot of money. 1977. So as he was there, he squandered his money. He wasted all of his inheritance. He didn't know how to manage money. Not that I knew when I was 18. So he ends up having to take a lowly job. He ends up feeding pigs. Now most likely those pigs were bred there as sacrifices to idols. Pigs are about the most disgusting animal that there is for Jewish people. He's gone to the lowest pit of the earth. As a matter of fact, he was jealous of the food of the pigs. So he decides that it would be better for him to sell himself as a slave to his dad. He returns to his dad and his dad is looking out for him. His dad is so excited that he runs toward his son and embraces him. This is very uncommon in the culture here. An older man would never run. His father loses his dignity because of his great love for his son. And what does his son have to say? Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. Jewish people would have picked up on something here. This is the same thing that the Pharaoh told Moses after the plague of the locust in Exodus 10 verse 16. By the way, the reason he said against heaven is because Jewish people wouldn't want to say God. So they substituted the word heaven for God. His father, though, is so happy. He throws a big party. But what does the older brother say? He's all upset because he had done everything right. But has he? Not really. In that culture, he should have gone after his younger brother and rescued him. In this sense, he was a perfect picture of these Pharisees that criticized Jesus for being with these sinners. They had done everything right, and yet they didn't care for their lost fellow Hebrew. Now, notice also the father leaves the feast to talk with his upset older son about it. This also would be considered very undignified of his dad. So you really have a father here who loves both of his sons. In a sense, both of them were prodigal sons, though in a different way. One of them squandered his inheritance, the other didn't care for the lost. Watch both of these short videos so you can get a fuller picture of Luke chapter 15. May God bless you. Bye-bye.